Creating beautiful bows can be a lot easier than you think. I've done videos featuring the Bow Easy and also how to create a cheater's bow. But sometimes you want a bow that appears as though it's tied in the center and wrapped around the card. So today on StampTV, I'm going to show you how easy these techniques are and how you can create gorgeous bows for your holiday projects. Let me show you the tools and products you need to do these techniques. First, you're going to need some ribbon, and I have a couple different ribbons from our Gina K Designs collection. This is one of the ribbons from our Satin Gold Edged collection. And then I have our Christmas Plaid. This one comes in our new Merry Little Christmas StampTV kit. And then I have our red Organdy ribbon, and this also comes in the new kit. I also have some of our new twine. This is Baker's Twine by We Are Memory Keepers, and we have it in 4 colors right now. We have it in red, green, brown, and black. Then you're going to need a button, and I just grabbed 2 different buttons here from my button jar. And for my particular project, I think I'm going to use the ivory button. But you can use any button, and it can have 4 holes or 2 holes. But if you have some 2-hole buttons, it makes it just a little bit easier to do this type of bow. Then, here I have a couple of glue dots and a pair of scissors. So here is a piece of red cardstock and a piece of ivory cardstock, and I'm going to tape these together as if this was going to be my focal image panel for my card project. So once you have a panel, then you want to wrap a bow, a piece of ribbon around that panel. And one thing I like to do, I think I'm going to use this gold-edged ribbon, this red satin gold-edged ribbon, and I'm also going to use the Christmas Plaid. I'm going to put them together. And what I like to do sometimes is, when I layer them on top like this, I like to run some tape along the back of the thinner ribbon and then glue it down onto the wider ribbon, so this way there's not a lot of movement in the ribbon once I've positioned it. So let me get that just a little bit straighter. What you have to do is kind of pull them together, make sure they're straight, and stick. There we go. Okay, so now that's glued together, and that's going to make it a lot easier to work with. And I'm just going to cut a little bit of extra so that I can wrap it around the face of the card. So I'll just cut it right there. And I'm going to wrap that right around the center of this card here. There we go. So that's my first step. Now I'm going to do the same thing again. I want to make sure that I've got some of this thinner ribbon taped onto the thicker ribbon. So I'll just run a little bit more tape there. And straighten it out. And I want to make a loop about that size. I could even go a little bit bigger. Let me tape down a little bit more of this ribbon. I'm just kind of taping as I go here, so this way I don't waste too much of either ribbon. There we go. Okay, so now I have that taped together. I'm going to trim that off, and then I'm going to make a loop like this. Now, you can glue this with a glue dot or with score tape, but I'll tell you, one easy way to get this to stick together is to just use a regular little stapler and staple those 2 ends together like that. That really makes it easy. So once that's stapled together, our next step is to cut another little piece of ribbon. And again, I'm going to tack this ribbon down to the wider ribbon. We're not going to need a lot for this step. And then I'm going to trim that off. And I'm going to get a glue dot ready. So I have a glue dot ready to go. And now I'm going to take this particular loop, press it together, and I'm going to wrap this around the center. Now I'm going to have a little bit excess there, so I'm going to cut it off. But first I'm going to stick the glue dot down on the back there and fuse that together with that glue dot, and then just remove that little bit of excess ribbon in the back. So now I have this pretty little looped bow. There we go. And I'm going to place that right on top of that ribbon, like that. And I can do that with a glue dot, or I can do that with some score tape. I think I'm going to use 3 glue dots for that, because I want the sides to be glued down too of the bow, of the loops. So I'll put one there, I'll put one there, and then one right in the center. There. And now I will lay that where I want it, right into, balance it out there, and press. And then I can puff up those loops a little bit, like that. And there I have a pretty little bow that looks like it's tied and wrapped around the card. Now let me show you a card project that I made using this style of bow. Here's a card I made using the new StampTV kit, and this is the City of David stamp set that comes in there. And I stamped the 3 wise men, and then underneath stamped the greeting, "Wise men still seek him." And although this is a lovely little focal image and a beautiful saying, that bow becomes such a featured point of the card because it's right in the middle with all that glitter and glitz, and then these subtle silhouette images along with the greeting behind there just gives it such a powerful look for such a clean and simple card. So the next kind of bow I want to show you is super easy to do. Once again, I'm going to create a panel to work on. And this one is going to feature some of that baker's twine and some organdy ribbon. I'm going to take a piece of this organdy ribbon and I'm going to do the same kind of thing. I'm going to wrap it around the center of my card here, but I'm not going to tape it down in the center. First of all, it's organdy ribbon, so it's very sheer and you're going to be able to see tape on that ribbon, so I don't want to do that. Plus, I still need to get behind that ribbon to tie my bow, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, so there I have my little piece of organdy ribbon on there. Now my next step is to make another loop. Same way. I'm going to create a circle with the ribbon, and then I'm going to grab my stapler again, because that really does make it easy, and I'm going to staple it. That's okay. All right, so now I have my loop there. Let me cut off that excess. And then that loop is going to go into the center of my card. But I'm going to take a little piece of baker's twine first, and I'm going to slip it under this piece of ribbon here, like that. And then I'm going to take that ivory button and I'm going to place the loop in the center, and then the ivory button is going to go on top. So now that I have that loop sitting there, I'm going to thread one end into one hole of the button, and the other end into the other hole of the button. And if you have trouble getting that through, try cutting it a little bit on an angle. That makes it a little bit pointier. It might be a little bit easier to slip it through the hole. There we go. Okay. So there's the button now. I'm going to slip that loop that I made underneath there and line it all up to where I want it. And then I'm going to pull that thread. Now, the next step is to tie this, and as you're tying it, it's going to scrunch that ribbon underneath right into place. So you'll see what I mean. Let me shift it a little bit here, make sure we're right in the right spot. There we go, and I'm going to pull. There we go. You can move the whole thing down a little bit. And that pulled the whole thing into a pretty little bow, and now I can just tie the rest of that baker's twine and trim off the edges. And there I have a cute little bow with a button on top, and it's scrunched everything together so it makes it appear as though the bow is actually tied on the top. And you can get in there and, you know, puff up the loops if you want. You can also do a double bow here with two different colors to give it a little bit more color. Let me show you a finished project I did using this style of bow. Here's another card using the City of David stamp set from the Merry Little Christmas StampTV kit. And again, I stamped my image up at the top, and then I used the "For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord," greeting at the bottom. And this particular little border I cut out using my silhouette. Now, if you don't have a silhouette Cameo, you might have a border with another electronic cutter that you have, or you may have a border punch or a border die that you want to use, or you can use a second fancy ribbon down here and maybe tie it. Anything that you want to do to decorate the bottom, you can do. But that, again, by using the bow feature in the center of the card and dividing up the focal image and the greeting, it just really packs such a pretty punch. Visit the videos page on StampTV for more bow ideas, including how to use the bow easy and how to make a cheater's bow.